Good morning. Let's see. We're just going to continue working on Sandpack. I have some other stuff I need to work on today, and also need to give some support on an issue. But we're going to see how far we get with this. And I really want to get this to a demoable state. So let's talk about what that means. Getting this to a demoable state is that we need to be able to also save files for persisted sandboxes. So we need to create an endpoint there to do that. That should be straightforward. And yeah, we're going to do that. And then we're going to do forking. So we should be able to start with like an ephemeral or a custom sandbox, as we call it now. And then we should be able to fork that into an actual persisted sandbox. We could also work on doing a seamless transition for dev boxes, but okay, let's see how far we get. And then I'm going to kind of create a summary of this work, because this requires a lot more work to actually become publishable. And we have other priorities as well, but I really want to get like a nice demo, conclude on like what do we still need to do here, and then focus on the other priorities. Okay, so let's start by, let's see. Yes, let's start by implementing the actual. So the thing that was a little bit tricky when we looked at the code editor was handle code update. So if a n type is not VM, so this is a little bit tricky because now we're gonna have an actual bundler environment, but we still don't wanna we still don't want to write on every code update. So I think we need something else here. It's almost like the environment, not the environment, but oh, this one's tricky. It's almost like this, like using this callback has an indication. It's like, but it's interesting. Like we could allow you to, like, what if this was just local storage, right? You could write to local storage, but what I mean to say is that if this is a function, I think we're going to set an option or a state. Yeah, I think that's the best approach here. So we're going to set a state that's going to be, let's see. So we have active file, and we're going to say like what are we going to call this? So when we use a function, it means that we're grabbing like some external sandbox, which doesn't explicitly dictate that we shouldn't write the file to the file system on every change. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, this doesn't matter. Sorry. I'm messing this up. So this doesn't matter. Because when we're in a bundler, we do write to a memory file system. Sorry, I forgot about this. Oh, this is just gonna work. So I'm getting back into it. Let's see. So this is fine, and what we want to do now is implement on change for. So we're gonna, let's see. we're gonna create 3 of these. So this would be VM. So there's no on change here. And then we're gonna have return persisted sandbox. So this is gonna use this one. Let's see. And wait, what did I do? That's gonna use this one. Cool. And then we're gonna put an on change here. Yeah, so we're gonna implement the on change thing because I don't think it really has what it needs now. Cool. And then we're gonna actually write to the server. So we can do like a check here. Well, we know this is only gonna be a single sandbox, so we can check if event type equals update. So we're just gonna support updates for now. We're gonna return fetch API sandboxes. Yeah, what? I guess we're gonna do post. Yeah, FS. Let's just call it FS. Method post, headers. Yeah, we're not gonna do all of them. We're gonna do path, event.path. Yeah, and this is also gonna be interesting if it actually content. Oh, what happened here? No. Oh. Ah. I hate when this happens. So that's the thingy there. Oh, is it? There we go. So if event type is update, we're gonna return fetch. So we need to implement this endpoint in our playground. Maybe we should do that first. We don't really care about the sandbox here. Yes. Okay, let's do that first. Maybe we could vibe code that one. Where are you, AI? So I need a new endpoint of /API/sandboxes /ID/FS, which is going to be a post endpoint that takes a path and content. Let me handle the implementation details. Thank you. Yes. So what we're gonna do here, we need to figure out where is this endpoint. So one thing that we don't have in the SDK now is like we have this special API now, a public API, which doesn't have certain things. Like you can't grab sandboxes with their full file contents, for example. We can't write to a sandbox file, stuff like that. So that actually needs to be fixed before we can release this thing. CodeSandbox client. So yeah, there's a lot of things we have to get into place, but it's gonna be freaking epic. And having this demo is gonna just create like excitement in the team and like for all the stakeholders. So having proof of concepts is really, really important. Let's see. So I think we're doing this. I wonder if it's an effect. API factory. Oh yeah, we're just doing a poll. Oh yeah, this is purely the, yeah. Let's see. Check out. Isn't there like a sandbox? I thought we had a sandbox namespace here. It's a dashboard. Profile sidebar. Oh, wait a minute. Is this the cleaned up version? Oh. Okay, I think we need to go back in history here. Oh. Because we cleaned up the repo. Let's just go way back. Banner for editor migration. Let's just 2024. Browse repository at this point. Yeah, because we removed the editor, old editor. Let's see, overmind namespaces. Now there's a bit more here. Editor, that's the one I was looking for. Actions. It's actually like, this is the thing I love about overmind and external state management. Like, I'm looking for the call to writing a sandbox file to the API. And this is many years ago since I wrote this code, and I haven't used overmind in many years either. But I still intuitively, like, I just go to the place where I know it is. Well, let's see now if it's actually here. Let's add npm dependency. Where's the, isn't there like a sidebar here? Yeah, symbols panel. There we go. Is it here? Is there like some kind of write fetch? Update? No. Where do we actually write the files? Forks and code changed. Interesting. Oh, it's maybe internal actions. Set current module, save code. There we go. Blah, 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 preview. Wait for the same module. Oh, shit, yeah. No, okay, this is the live feature. And here we have save module code. Oh, it is actually in the effect. So I can jump into that effect. API, save module code. Here we have it. This was the thing I was looking for. So it's actually a put. Okay, you know what? Let's just copy this. And we're gonna do await response equals await fetch. And then we need, okay, we need a module short ID actually. Oh, fudge. Okay, we're gonna fix that. So we don't care about the path. We actually care about the module short ID. Yeah. Let's see. That's gonna be a body module. Yeah, this is an old API. But we're hacking this together a little bit now, so. Okay. Code here would be content. Okay, so that should be fine. But we need to pass a module short ID. So that's going to be interesting. So we would need to access. Fuck. This is gonna this is gonna change everything. Why is it module short ID? Why isn't it the path? How are we gonna grab that? Like, where does that even come from? Like, it's not even here, right? Damn it. This blows up everything. Like, because now we're grabbing the sandbox, right? And then we're writing the files to this in-memory file system. And there is no such thing as a module short ID there. So that, like, it's, so you kind of have the thing we need. So we have this like flow that starts like over here, which is this one, which actually gets the sandbox, which has the files, right? But those files are like created from the original files from the database. So this is just an object of paths and code. And then it goes through the whole Sandpack system. And then on the other end, which is here, we need to grab the module short ID, which isn't even here. It's like it's in the server on this endpoint. But what we can do is we can change them. This is so annoying. This is super annoying. I can't believe this. This was supposed to be so simple. Okay, let's see how we're gonna approach this. So what we can do is, I hate introducing concepts because of quirky use cases. But what we can do is actually allow you to return metadata for the files that you return here. So this sandbox, let's see. Sandbox. So bundler sandbox, we have Sandpack bundler files. So like this doesn't really make sense. I don't think this should be on Sandpack bundler file. This is more something you configure. Active, hidden. I think this is more of a custom sandbox type of setup. How are we gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna comment it out. But what we could do here, we can say like, we could add like metadata, for example. Because the file does live in the in-memory file system, but it's behind the path. I think that's the only like reasonable way to do it. So we could do like metadata. Yeah, let's just try it. So we have metadata. Oh, this is not where we should do it. Sandpack bundler file. Why? Oh, it's coming from Sandpack client. Wait. Why did it go to Sandpack React? Okay, sorry. Sandpack React. Wait, this is environments. Where are we? Sandpack React types. Here we are. So sandbox. Yeah, we're gonna create our own export type or whatever interface. Sandbox files. We're not going to use this bundler file thing. Oh my god, there's so much stuff in here. Oh my god. So I'm going to remove this. Yeah, we're not really going to use any of this stuff when we're done. But okay, for now, we're going to have sandbox files, which is going to be a record of code, string, metadata, object. Cool. And then we're going to say sandbox files, sandbox files, sandbox files, sandbox files, sandbox files. Where did you go? Yeah, export type record. What did I suddenly see an error here? No. No. Or no. Okay. So now we have metadata on our sandbox files. So that means when we build this now, why is this so weird? So when we now go to our server, we should be allowed to, so data here. Oh, we don't really have this. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be called entry. And we're saying, yeah, so we have files here, and then we can say, so sorry. So if it's v2, we're going to do, oh, sandbox ID. Yeah. Yeah, we had some missing stuff here. So we're going to return sandbox ID there. But here we have an actual persisted sandbox. So here we can go in and we can say metadata. Let's just sandbox files. Why are you complaining? Untyped function calls may not accept type arguments. What? I've never seen that before. What? Wow. That was a new one. Was that a linting thing? And why doesn't this... Any? Why? Oh, wait. Is there something wrong with the... No. Yeah, there you go. What the fuck? Well, now this is any because... Oh, that is many, sorry. Any. Yeah, no idea what happened there. So we can call it module short ID or short ID. I think it's just dot short ID. We'll figure that out. Okay, so now we have the short ID on the metadata, and now we have to change our in-memory file system to include that metadata, so we can extract it when we make changes to paths. But we can restart. Why aren't you complaining about? Oh yeah, because this is, yeah, Sandbox ID. Yeah, it's optional there. Yeah, this is also interesting because here it actually, well, we're scrolling down so much. No. Yeah, because here you have dependencies and dev dependencies, so it could actually do all that stuff here on the server. That's a little bit confusing now. Like, we expect you to return a bundler sandbox and a static sandbox. By doing so, we expect you to return. I wonder if that's a legacy concept, the dependencies. You know, I think that's a legacy concept. We're gonna remove that. And what's interesting about this is that now they actually become equal. Except it has a template. Entry sandbox ID. Yeah, so the only difference is really the template. And that makes you think maybe that can just continue being like, no, we have to know if you wanna. Or we could actually, yeah, we could simplify this. So there's no bundler sandbox or static sandbox. You have browser sandbox or VM sandbox. And then we just use the static template to evaluate that, running that environment. Because now we don't care about, so actually extracting dependencies and stuff, it should come from package.json. You shouldn't keep that as like a different thing. Because it's much, the compiler will actually handle changes to package.json. Or, well, no, that's not true. But Sandpack will handle extracting dependencies from package.json. And you want to make your code portable, right? So there shouldn't be a separate concept of dependencies. So yeah, I think we can actually. But the thing is, like, there's this special template called static. Like, it changes the underlying environment, which isn't very explicit. But maybe that is fine. Because it does simplify everything else. You don't have to have these two different types. You just have either you're working with a browser sandbox or you're working with a VM sandbox. Yeah, we're going to try that. So we're going to rename this to browser sandbox. And then this can be static. So this is going to require us to change a few things. We'll figure that out. Not sure what this is. Whatever. Oh, wait, we're in the wrong file again. Let's see, rename browser sandbox. Like, and what I'm seeing when I like this happens very often when I do these kinds of reviews and refactors is that I very often diverge a lot from the current state, and then I go back and it becomes more like the current state. But the whole purpose of this is to get ownership and learn about the code base. So now I know why it's like this, right? If I would just look at the code and accept the way it looked, I wouldn't understand why it worked that way, right? So it might seem wasteful, but the process we're really going through now is like moving ownership of code. And from my experience, the most efficient way of doing that is to like reimagine the code, or or not reimagine the code, but reimagine, how should I put this? So there's an opportunity when you want to reimagine the product of what the code does, to move ownership, because then there will be a lot of changes, and going through those changes is what's going to create the new ownership, right? You can't just give someone a code base and say you're going to own this now. That's stupid. The way you get ownership is changing the code. So typically when you're in a situation where someone leaves the team, for example, and then, oh, this other person is going to own this code now. That person doesn't own the code. That's just on paper. The way that person starts owning the code is when something wrong happens and they have to go in and fix bugs, right? But that's a very like gradual, slow process of owning the code. If there's a new feature request, it's going to take a long time for that person to really understand where it fits in, and bugs can appear and so on and so on. But if that person leaves the team, and at the same time there's this opportunity to, okay, let's reimagine this. Like, this has been going on for a few years now. Let's reimagine this. And you should go in and you should like create a breaking change here and build it up the way it should be if we had all these features today, or from the beginning, sorry. Because then they have to literally go through all the code, make a bunch of changes, explore exactly what we're doing here, and that's how you actually move ownership efficiently. I'm not saying it doesn't have a cost, but in the long term, I think it's the best way to move ownership. Okay. So we're gonna have some issues here, I suspect. Yeah, because now we don't have this static sandbox anymore. Yeah, so we're not gonna do this anymore. We are not gonna do, we're gonna do rename load a browser environment. And this type is gonna be based on the sandbox.template equals static. We're gonna have, this is what we're gonna do instead. And then we're actually not gonna do the package.json thing here. That's something we're gonna do specifically inside the environment. So we're not gonna pass this stuff. Let's see. So we don't have static anymore. And we don't have static here, so we're cleaning up this part. And then we're gonna move into, I think this is really all of it. Oh, is it using this tier? Oh, we need to expose these environment options. Okay, so let's move into, before we lose our thread here, let's move, we're gonna fix bundler. I'm just gonna check that options thing. So we are exporting it, but we're not gonna have this anymore. I think there's a lot of stuff we're not gonna have here anymore. But I wonder why. So we're probably not exporting. Yeah. So we wanna export from clients bundler export from dot slash clients static from clients VM. Look at this structure, it's beautiful. I guess I could do a star here. I guess that's fine. It's a little bit uncontrolled, but yeah, it's fine. And then what we're gonna do is when we actually go and pass the data to the preview here, that's when we're gonna go and hi there, Ward. Yeah, so I'm working. So I've been working at CodeSandbox for quite a few years, and CodeSandbox was acquired by Together AI. So if you go to CodeSandbox.io, and CodeSandbox was started with this browser bundling, so you could like code in the browser. And as part of that, we have an open source project called Sandpack that allows you to use that bundler along with some other stuff, and also React abstraction. And being acquired by Together, which is an AI company, or AI infrastructure company, I should say, we are adopting our, so one thing is the browser sandboxes, but CodeSandbox is also this cloud environment, like these super efficient VMs that kind of was built from the experience of the browser sandboxes. But those VMs, no humans wanted to use them. It turned out that AIs was a better product market fit for those VMs. So there's an SDK that's being adopted by Together to use these VMs for AIs to run code for you or build projects and stuff. But for us to kind of focus on that project, we also want to give the community. Yeah, I actually discussed this yesterday. Like, so there are different motivations for what I'm working on here. So what I'm basically doing, I'm taking this Sandpack project, which is currently only for browser bundling, and we're applying our VMs there as well, and kind of reimagining the whole thing as kind of like a mini code sandbox, open source mini code sandbox, so that you can run it locally, you can run it at your company, you can build products on top of it, you can do whatever you want with it. And that gives like one opportunity, which is for us to reduce maintenance burden of the old CodeSandbox product, because we rather want to empower other developers and startups to build new products. And we can rather build the technology that a part of the technology that drives those products. But it's also very useful in the context of AI. So you can imagine that you have like, you're chatting with your AI, and it's running, it's like changing code on this VM, and it's like, it's the black box, right? It's just changing stuff. And but then you can hook Sandpack, this project I'm working on, onto the same VM. And then you get like a very simple view of code, and you get the preview, and you see live everything happening that the AI is doing. So it acts like a window into the VMs where the AI is working. But it's also helpful for debugging. If you're a startup that's using the SDK to build these AI experiences, you can use Sandpack to very easily debug these VMs if something goes wrong or whatever. Yeah, it's a very, I guess it's like a broad spectrum of emotions in these times, being a dev. But I'm personally, I share your sentiment. Like, it's interesting. I think that's a good one. Thing is like calling it exciting. I am partly excited as well, but interesting is a better word, because it kind of covers the unknown of what are we actually gonna be doing as devs. But it's gonna be very, very cool. But yeah, no, I don't want to go down that reflection path of what's gonna happen to coding and devs and all this stuff. Let's see. So what we need to do here is we have this bundler preview, and this is actually responsible for passing. Yeah, you can see here we're passing dependencies. Down, but we're not going to do this. We're going to rely on, let's see, this get files. Okay, so we're actually going to extract. We're not going to rely on like creating a package JSON, because this is just old stuff, and we really want to, and we don't want to have all these different templates either. We kind of want to try to have like a single, maybe a template doesn't even become like a, well, I guess to some extent it needs to be a template, but what a template dictates is what the bundler adopts in terms of transformations and stuff. But the templates are very old. Like it's based on Create React app and stuff like that. So we can definitely improve that. But let's see. So we're gonna go here and we're gonna grab. So what are we doing here? Calling it modules. Package JSON. Console error, create error. Wait, what did I do? Package JSON. Yeah, it's almost like, yeah, it's also interesting because in the static environment, you don't really want a package JSON. So we should allow you to not. Yeah, but then we don't need it. Yeah, no, I think we should just extract the dependencies. Let's see, that's what this code is going to do. So we're going to do this, and it's also going to handle this weirdness of the index.html file that we can do later. So we're going to say files, and is this code? Yeah. So what this basically means, we're not going to ensure that there's a package.json file there, but if it is, that's where we're going to grab the dependencies from. Oh, we're going to have, yeah. So we're just going to do this, and we're going to drop doing this. And then aren't we pass? Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Oh, is this actually handled even further down? Oh, I think this is actually handled in the bundler now. I don't think we even need this stuff. This is just, yeah, again, it's just old stuff. Oh, but it gets the template based on the package JSON. Okay, let's at least do that, but we don't have to do this. Package JSON. Okay, cool. Let's just do that. Cool. So let's build that again. Oh, shouldn't this be Sandpack environments or build? Okay. So, and now we can build this again. Yeah. And then let's look at our server again, because now the server is going to be different. Now there's no static, there's just a browser sandbox. Oh, look, it's already there. What happened? Oh, is it the TypeScript server is really struggling with this code base. Let's see. So we're gonna have short ID here. Okay, and then we're returning. We are, yeah, so this is going to be a browser sandbox, and we're going to say, why are you complaining? Oh yeah, sorry, so there is no environment anymore. What are you? Oh, Why does it have environment bundler? I forgot about that. Ugh. It shouldn't have an environment. Oh, interesting. Yeah, we should call it browser. That's what we should call it. Okay, let's run it again. Let's see, I'm just keeping an eye out for some support I'm gonna do. Let's see. I think that one's fine. Do we have any new errors here? Wait, bundler preview. Oh, look at this. We're even doing it here. Add pack. Okay, so we need to fix this one as well. Read all files. Yeah, I think we're gonna. It seems to require a package JSON. But we're not gonna add package JSON. Files, entry. Oh, look at this. Oh, add package. Okay, so it actually does it. If needed, it's kind of weird. Oh, if needed, like if missing, if needed, if missing, or with package JSON or ensure package. Sorry, I will call it ensure package JSON. Yeah, and then it has the entry there. I think that's fair. We're just gonna create package JSON. We're not gonna have dependencies in here because if we do, yeah. So this is just for the actual bundler. This is not something that's gonna pop up in the file system or anything. It's just if you don't have a package JSON, the bundler needs it to evaluate what it's gonna do. Didn't I rename that? Merge package JSON with oh, interesting. With custom setup. Yeah, no, it's kind of weird. It's like things are happening in weird places. Like custom setup is suddenly leaking into the environment. Like custom setup is something that you actually do at the very surface level of Sandpack. So I don't understand why this happens all the way down here. So this is really about like, the way I understand this is like you have a template, but you might have some custom setup and it just merges. So the template has like some dependencies and then you have some custom stuff on top of that. But I don't think we should do it like this. Then I rather think we should actually export the templates and then you manipulate that template directly. That's how it should work. Because this is just magic. And it kind of gives you full freedom to change that template, right? Now you can only merge it. You can't like manipulate it the way you want. So we're gonna remove that thing. Oh, was that part of something? Oh, again. Twitch. Merge package, if package JSON file. If no. Oh, okay. So this whole thing is. Oh, okay. Yeah, ensure package JSON. Normalize. What the hell is this normalize path? But it takes an object of files? Ugh. So this is. So ensure package JSON also normalizes the paths. Okay, I'm gonna do something else. We're gonna call it ensure valid files. Hi, Mark. No, this is a great question. Yes, so kind of the plan I have now is we're gonna push this to like a good demo for the team. And so there's part demo, part what needs to be done to make this an actual product release. So that's part technical and part, like, as you point out, documentation. So the documentation is going to be completely reworked for this. So currently there's a reference to like low-level Sandpack client, which we are replacing with Sandpack environments. So what I'm thinking is we're keeping Sandpack client as like a deprecated project, but it's still in the documentation. But then everything else is like really about Sandpack React, but then the new low-level interaction with the environments is Sandpack environments. Yeah. But then the documentation will actually have not only about like mostly about the components now and the templates, it's going to have the full flow of like how do you do forking, how do you do persistence, how do you connect to VMs using the SDK, and all of this stuff. Basically how to build the products on top of this. That's going to be nice. Ensure valid. Ensure valid bundler files. So this is really what it's doing. So if no package JSON file or return normalized files path. This is such a weird function. Wait, path? Now I'm even more. Oh, is array. Oh, interesting. This is a interesting one. Normalized path, but it takes, yeah, but it can take anything. So at least it should be called normalized paths. Okay. Where did it go? Normalized paths. File path. Or normalized files. Let's call it normalized files. Yeah, we don't have return it here. We just, if no package JSON. Okay. And then this merging stuff, we're not going to do that here. That's going to be up to the person that actually wants to extend the template. You actually extend the template. Ensure valid bundler files. Cool. Yeah, entry error message. We're gonna review absolutely everything here. So yeah, I'm gonna just keep them like this for now. Okay, so I think maybe this makes sense. We're gonna try, we need to get this thing actually running again. So, and then we're gonna do this. And then I think in our server, where's our server? This is gonna have some issues now. So we're gonna call it browser. Oh, interesting. What's this? Yeah, it's just a hiccup. So that's environment browser, blah, blah, blah. Well, this one's returning environment VM with a session and a sandbox ID. Great. That's good. I am wondering, did we miss something? Yes. Browser. Okay, so let's build Sandpack React again. And we're going to run the server again. I'm just going to see if it still runs. And it does. Great. So now we can go back into the environment. Because what we're doing, let's see, what are we doing? Use environment. So we are passing in the session here, or we're passing in, oh, and we're calling it bundler here. Yeah, so this would be sandbox here. Also, we need to check the template. It's I'm a little bit, I'm not 100% sure about doing this. That like there's this implicit template called static that's gonna change out the environment. Like I'm always for explicitness, but in this case, it's such a weird. Yeah, because the problem is that they're more similar than they're different in terms of data. Like they have the exact same data. Yeah, we're gonna do this for now and see how it feels. It just feels nicer, I think, from like an API consumption standpoint. But we'll have this like there's this special template. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I think it's kind of nice from a like it's gonna improve the experience, the developer experience. I'm certain of that, because now the develop or the like consumer of this library, especially in terms of persistence and stuff, doesn't have to take a stance on, oh, this is static, so this is going to be persisted this way, and this is for the bundler, it's going to be persisted this way. It's like it's just a browser sandbox that you want to persist, and then there's just a related template to it. So managing the actual data of the sandbox is going to be simpler, and I think that's worth it. That's awesome. We're actually for the SDK, we are using Open API. So that could also be an opportunity. Like if you have experience with Open API, you could have contribute to the repo of the SDK to generate a C# client. Because so there's like 3 parts to this. there's like a REST API for our actual API, which is about like listing sandboxes and stuff like that, creating like VM sessions and stuff like that. And then there's the WebSocket client for the VMs, which is currently in TypeScript and is quite complex. But there's also a REST API for the VM. So everything you can do with a WebSocket client, like writing to the file system and all of that, you can also very soon do with REST endpoint. And that's also defined with the OpenAPI spec. So you could like generate the SDK for like the REST endpoints in C#. So you can, yeah, manage all the sessions and stuff, but you'll use the REST endpoints in the VMs to make changes to them. Oh, that must be a like fun exercise. I've not done that. Have I ever done that? Like written? No, I don't think I've ever done that. Like move like a library from one language to another. That must be fun. Okay, let's see. So now we have, yeah, we had it running again, right? Yeah. So what we're going to do now, we need to go in and we need to expose this metadata. Yeah, that was what I was looking at. Interesting. So I think we want to, okay, this is interesting. So we really just want to change our write file so that it also takes the question is, should it be I'm wondering if I should pass the metadata as a third argument, or if it should just be part of this. Oh, I think I'm going to pass it as a files path metadata. So we're going to change the interface of write file to take metadata for the file. And then we're going to keep that in the file system. I don't think this is weird in the sense that when you're in the code editor and you're writing to the file, we're not passing metadata, right? Yeah, so this is definitely the right way to go. You can optionally update the metadata for the file. And for VM, you don't ever do that. I think this makes sense. Let's see. So, oh, are you complaining about something? Oh, yeah. Let's see. What's this? Oh, yeah. What were we doing? We have this generic interface of write file. So this can take an optional metadata, which is object. And what we want to do, yeah, so in the bundler, yeah, I guess it's both for static and for bundler. Yeah, sorry. So we can actually use the in-memory file system to keep track of, so file content here is actually going to be yeah, maybe we can just do this content metadata object. So this is not going to be typed in any way. So what we need to do here now, we have write file and metadata optionally object. Well, I guess we can do content metadata. And wait a minute, what are you complaining about? What? Property in it's not the same property in base. Type path. The type path. Oh, object or undefined. Oh, do I have to do? Wait a minute. Or undefined? Why are these? Why does it say or undefined here? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, question is, do I always want the metadata to be there? I think so. So let's just change the type here. Sorry. So this, we should always have metadata, but we're going to have a default value here. So from, but how does this work? Like from a consumption standpoint, now I have to, I wonder how this is going to look. Is it going to be, because I want it to be optional. Ah, fuck. I'll rather do this. Metadata is metadata, or I'm just gonna do that. Wait, still not happy? Huh? Oh, file. Oh, sorry. That was the thing. Oh, so we say file content here. Okay, sorry. We're gonna change this. We're not. Where's the file content thing? Sandpack bundler types. So we're gonna keep this as it was. That's Sandpack bundler types. And I wonder why this is okay. Let's say that's fine. And then instead of file content here, we're actually going to have our own type. File entry, content, file content, and metadata object. And then read file needs to do content, not metadata. Yeah, I guess this is also a thing. Like, how do we do this now? How do we grab the metadata? This is starting to itch. Dag nugget. Because now we have to have read file metadata. Yeah, but read file metadata can be synchronous. This is starting to break a little bit for me. Why did we have to have short ID? We were supposed to just wrap up this proof of concept. Because this is very specific to the in-memory file system, having this metadata. And it's very specific to what CodeSandbox does, right? That's the reason I have this very generic metadata concept. It's because it's short ID has nothing to do with browser sandboxes. It's just the way we way back when decided to store files. Yeah, I think I wanna. Yeah, I guess we have to add like read file metadata. But it needs to be async as well, which is kind of weird. Or what we could do is on that event we emit, there's like you can kind of like call metadata and await it. But it's still weird that it's async there. Like, but I guess we can make it async. So when we emit that event, the onChange event, we could read the metadata because that's an async event anyways. So if we just read, yeah, okay, we have to do it that way. I don't see any other way of doing it. So read file metadata path string promise object. And then we're gonna do async read file metadata. Oh, look at you. And look at you. Okay, and then we just need to have that for the VM as well. But that's actually not gonna do anything. Read file metadata. Oh, that's interesting. I guess we could do that. Because this is a custom file system. That's just a simplified file system. But I guess we can do this. This is fine. Cool. We're gonna do that. Let's build it. Why are you? Oh yeah, that's the stuff. So now when we okay, so now we're actually gonna trigger the work on triggering the onChange event. So to do that, let's close everything and then let's find the code editor again. So we have this write file, and like we don't want to onChange is not going to be triggered from the internal file system. This is going to be triggered by interactions you do in the actual editor. So if for example, I don't know, yeah, I guess that's not a good example. Well, I guess so. An example would be a VM. So if you're on a VM and you actually change something, right? You as a user in Sandpack, it's going to trigger onChange. But if maybe the AI writes a new file to the file system, that's not going to trigger an onChange event. I'm reflecting out loud now. Because we want that onChange handler to be how you want to sync the interactions of the user with whatever. That being like analytics purposes or a persistent sync or whatever. Yeah. So that's why we're going to implement it here. So this is write file. And then, yeah, what's interesting though is that we kind of now have this if I'm gonna read the metadata here, that means whenever you save a VM file, the on change is gonna be a bit slower because we're gonna read the stat as well. And you probably never want to use the stat. Or maybe you do. I don't know. It's not a biggie. Maybe we should just do that. Yeah, we're just going to do that for now, at least, to make it consistent, and then we'll see. So anyways, the question is, how do we get access to that on change? I think, so when I say that we have, where are you? Sandpack state context. Oh, it's so bad at like, is it like, it's like the whole extension host? Yeah, it's not handling very well all the changes when I'm building and stuff. Okay, so what we're gonna do when I have like a state provider, it's not like just values, it's actual functions as well. Like here you can set the active file. So we're gonna have a function called trigger change, and that's gonna be a use callback. Oh, interesting. And that callback is gonna take, yeah, so this is also an interesting thing. Should we, yeah, but then metadata, what if I delete a file? I guess you don't have any metadata then. Well, we do need the metadata. But then the metadata is there before you. Like, fuck. So if you write a file, you want the metadata, like, because I'm reading stat, right? You kind of want the stat after you write the file. But if you delete a file, you need the stat before you delete the file. But I guess that's fine. But what I'm wondering here now is that should we maybe like not call it trigger change even? It's kind of like we're dispatching a change to the file system, and then the file system change actually happens here. And then as part of that, we're gonna also trigger the on change and like read the metadata and everything. Would that even make sense? Because I'm not sure if it would make sense. Yeah, and this is all very interesting, like, because when you have a VM, you're also going to get a shell here. And what if the user deletes a file in the shell? That wouldn't trigger on change. That's a tricky thing. Like the on change does simplify a lot, but it's ambiguous what it's going to be used for. So I'm kind of saying you can use it for persistent sync, but you might have some expectations on So a different way to think about it is like it's more like on fs change kind of thing. And then any change to the file system, it's just going to trigger that event. So now the Sandpack environment is responsible for whenever there's a write file, delete file, and it also has the metadata, so we don't have to asynchronously read it. So what if Sandpack environments is responsible for firing fs change events? And then yeah, and then we don't need that read metadata thing. Yeah, we can remove that method, and then we rather emit events. And then, but the problem doing that, the problem with that is that we want we want it to be blocking. That's the big challenge, because if I add a file, yeah, like I add a file or even save a file, we want to show a spinner until it's actually done doing that, or show an error if it fails doing that. But if Sandpack environments just fires off an event, it's very hard to work with. It's much easier to work with a promise. Or you have to, like, it becomes so decoupled. You kind of like in the file explorer, you kind of, oh, I'm adding a file here and I'm writing it. And then the promise kind of resolves because it's just an event that's emitted. And the promise kind of resolves and you're done. But the event is going to trigger the actual persistence logic. So it actually takes more time. Like it's synchronous almost, except for it being an async function. So it's immediately going to be added. And then maybe you have an error when you try to persist it. And then you have to listen to error events and you have to match, oh, I just wrote a file here. I'm waiting for this success error event kind of thing, instead of just awaiting writing the file. But then you can, I've done this before. I've implemented a concept of like async events or blocking events. So what you do is you still have subscribers to these events, but then when you fire them, you await them. So the thing that emits the event will await the subscribers before it like continues. It's quite powerful, and it kind of solves the issue. So you kind of want this central place that just says I did something, but I'm actually going to await the things that are handling this event and see how they deal with it before resolving this promise, potentially returning an error. I think it fits here. Yeah, I don't see any other way of dealing with it. It's either that or we have to do everything in Sandpack. And then we have to read. Yeah, it would be so much smoother doing it that way. And also for other people that just want to use the low-level Sandpack environments, they would just get these events and they can choose what they want to do with them. But again, it would only be events. So that's the thing. Like, what should it actually be based on? Because we already have a watcher. Yeah, maybe we should rather change that. I thought this was gonna be simple. Nothing is simple. So we already have a watcher. So we could make the watcher actually emit the event. And I also believe in our VM file system, the watcher actually gives us fswatch. It actually gives us events. And I think these events are actual. Let's see, watcher on event. Watch event. Yeah, add, change, remove. So we could use the same events here. Okay, it's kind of coming together now, I think. So, oh, it has multiple paths. That's interesting. Okay. So we're gonna use the watcher of the file system to trigger the on change. And it's gonna have this event that dictates what. Why is it like a single type and then multiple paths? That's weird. It should be like a type per path. That's weird. I wonder if there's some mistake there. Anyways, so we're gonna emit that event. We can use that watcher for the sync. But again, how do we handle the blocking nature of this sync? Because this watcher is like nothing that... Ugh. You know what? This is the kind of thing where I have to think. Because if we use, it makes sense to reuse the watcher, but that's just an event. It doesn't allow this blocking nature of you're writing a file and we want it to be blocking because you want to sync it with something else. Or we can just make the right file. We don't do any of this. Like we make the syncing nature is a Sandpack issue. Like who's responsible for the syncing? It is Sandpack. Like you can't do syncing without Sandpack. Because that's where you have your own change. And again, if you use low-level Sandpack environment, you will also kind of implement your own custom syncing. So syncing is that abstraction, is an opinionated syncing mechanism using Sandpack React, which means which does mean that it is better for us to, at the point where you actually make changes, we're gonna just call this function that's going to trigger a change, and we're going to await that thing. And that's going to allow us to show in the UI and the loading indication and the errors. We can, like, we don't actually write to the internal file system until the change has been successfully applied. That's also a thing. Like, do you want to persist as a background process? Because like 99.9% of the time, that persistence is gonna, that write or that persistence, the persistence is gonna work. And you don't want to wait for the file to actually be persisted before you actually run the bundler. You can immediately run the bundler. But then we have to write to that file system. And if the persistence fails, then we kind of have to revert. But that's simple. Like, you can just keep the old code. Anyways, we're going to make that blocking first. But okay, so we're going to do that. We're not going to do all this stuff. We're going to... we're going to have something called trigger change. It's a bit ambiguous how we call it just on change, because it's very much related to file system changes. It's not like generally changing something in Sandpack, but we can change the name of that later if it becomes too ambiguous. But the point here is that we are gonna, this is an intention to make a change, right? So we're gonna pass in the actual event. And then this trigger change is responsible for passing the actual sandbox. Yeah, we have to make a change here as well, because this sandbox is going to be, we're not going to be able to get this done today. That's for sure. Anyways, we have to get this done, like this part. So we're going to pass in the actual event here. So this would be on change. What do we call that? File change event, something. Where are you? On change. Sandbox change event. So we're going to pass in the sandbox change event. And this is going to be, yeah, we can just do that. And then this is going to take in on change function. Is that the typical way to describe it? On change function. And then this is going to take in on change. Yeah, the reason I complained about the sandbox is because when we're going to implement forking, we're going to allow the Sandpack instance to replace the sandbox reference with a new one. And now we're just passing it in as a prop. So the prop won't change. That's the whole point, because we don't want to change the instance. So we have to make this sandbox something that comes from something else. We could make it a reference, maybe. We'll see. On change is on change function. And what we're going to do here, we're going to say return on change event sandbox. Oh, isn't that right? Oh, this isn't the actual. Oh, sorry, this is the sandbox prop. But Sandpack, where's the actual sandbox? Oh, that's that. Oh, this is the actual, and the environment is. No, wait. Where's the actual sandbox? This is the environment, but this is the sandbox. Oh, interesting. I think this This actually needs to be the thing that holds both the sandbox and the environment. Because we need a reference to the actual sandbox, but the sandbox could come from this async call to sandbox, or it's the custom sandbox that we already have here. And we don't want to call this function more than once, right? We just want to call it here where we instantiate the environment. Okay, so I'm going to say that we're going to do Sandpack. So this, what should we call this? Should we call it Sandpack Sandbox context? Yeah, we're going to change. Oh my God. Sandpack Sandbox context. And then we're going to, oh, this will require some changes. Sandbox ref. And then this is going to be a promise of an environment. I guess we can call it env. I'm going to call it environment. And then the actual sandbox. That's how it's going to look. And then we're going to return. Why isn't this complaining? That's weird. Why aren't you complaining? Hello. You should be complaining. Is it just the TypeScript server again? There we go. That's incredible. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Let's see. Okay. Well, this is going to be... so this is async. So, oh my God. Now we have to... Oh. Okay, so we have to do then environment. I hate working inside React. It's horrible. Wait, why are you complaining now? Is it complaining about this one? There we go. Okay, so now we're returning both the environment and the actual sandbox we base that environment on. And then we have to do the same here. Environment. But now it's going to be environment, and sandbox is going to be props.sandbox. Why are you complaining? Ah, because now it's okay. Sandbox. Damn callbacks and typing. That's also something I hate. Wait, seriously? Oh, am I saying sandbox here? Oh, sandbox can be browser sandbox, custom sandbox. Wait a minute. So custom sandbox should also be a sandbox, right? Yeah, I think so. Shouldn't it? Or is that gonna break some concept? Yeah, because now we don't have an environment for it. What is custom sandbox in this context? So custom sandbox, so even a custom sandbox results in an actual browser sandbox, right? or VM sandbox. Yeah, sorry. So custom sandbox is something else. Maybe we shouldn't even call it custom sandbox. Maybe we should call it configure sandbox. The terminology here is kind of, because a custom sandbox results in, how are we going to do that? Because this needs to result in an actual sandbox, and then it's based on the, Oh, wait a minute. So load browser. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I think this is fine. Sorry. So this is going to be sandbox, but we're going to say environment is browser. That's all we need to do. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Because we don't want to configure that on the actual thing. It's a given that when you pass an object to sandbox, it's a browser sandbox. You can't create a VM sandbox. Well, that's the thing we're going to explore. Okay, let's just keep it like this for now. I've said that many times. Let's keep it like that for now. And then we have Sandpack environment. Let's call this. Is it possible for me to like grab the Sandpack? Yeah, sorry. Context value. Context value. Oh. And this should be sandbox context. Oh, that's not a promise. That's just context value. Okay, and then we have load browser environment, Sandpack. Sorry. Sandbox provider. And then we have rename, use sandbox. I think this is going to crash with something else, but we can look at that later. Okay, I think this makes sense now. Either we're loading it up dynamically, where we can have a VM or a browser, or currently you can only have a custom sandbox in the browser environment, which is why we hard code it. We could maybe it would, well, we are gonna, I actually have a meeting later today, or a get together with a colleague to talk about VM persistent, VM custom VM sandboxes. So you know what we're gonna do? we're gonna call it sandbox, and then let's look at the types, and then we're gonna call it custom browser sandbox. And here we're going to say environment browser. And then we're going to have export type custom VM sandbox. And it's going to have environment VM. We can still have active file here. There's no external resources. There's no entry. There's no nothing. Let's see. Oh, and this is interesting. Like when you have a custom browser sandbox, we do allow you to set the dependencies. But what we're going to do then is generate a package JSON file. This is the thing, like this is such a good example of how tricky it is to make things accessible, because at the end of the day, we need a package JSON file. And then we have like so we might have a template. So we might have a custom browser sandbox, which is a template where we have already defined some files and a template and maybe some dependencies and dev dependencies. And then you want to go in there and change that. And then what if we define that template with the package JSON file and we have dependencies and dev dependencies? Then we have to merge the package JSON file with these custom dependencies and dev dependencies. But what if we don't define that package JSON in the template and then you want to extend it with the package JSON? We still have to merge them. Or we can choose, no, you're not going to define your dependencies or dev dependencies here at all. You have to define a package JSON file. But then again, it's like, what if you want to build on an existing template? Then you just have this string representing package JSON. And you have to go in and like, how do you then like, then you have to do JSON parse, change the dependencies, and then JSON stringify it again. So it's just much more accessible to do dependencies and dev dependencies. I don't know why we have dev dependencies, actually. Yeah. But I just have this, I wonder if we should create like kind of a value for this project of ours that we're gonna embrace, like we want to simplify, like we're not necessarily going to make it more accessible, but we're going to simplify it. And then we're going to revisit the accessibility later. So as an example of that, we would remove these dependencies. So we're simplifying the internals, Parcel or React. So we can even do this. And we're saying that if you want to actually add dependencies, you have to do it in the package JSON file. So there has to be a package JSON file now. And then it's, yeah, and then we export type custom sandbox equals custom browser sandbox, custom VM sandbox. You have to manipulate the package JSON file. So there is no like dependencies, dev dependencies. You have to actually write your package JSON file when you do a custom sandbox. And then if you extend an existing template, you'll have to, yeah, again, I don't think, yeah, it's almost like, fuck. It's very, very tricky because we have two concepts of templates. We have a Sandpack template, which is basically a custom browser sandbox. That's a template. But then the bundler also has a concept of a template. Which is really what we're defining here. It's like, how should the bundler run? Or how should the environment run? Yeah, this is a big mental complete explosion in the whole concept. Because to me, it's very, very weird to compose something from a string. So like, you're just passing in like, where do we have the actual code? Where's dashboard? So what I'm talking about is So here, for example, you can go and say Sandpack provider and sandbox equals static, right? And that's actually a custom sandbox that we have defined internally. But then if you do like this, and you say like environment browser and template static here, like now this will, like you're building it off of that template. But what if you don't want to do that? You just want to say that you want to run in the static environment. There is no template here. There's just an environment, but there is a template. So if the environment is bundler, then you have a template, but that template is not the template that we build for Sandpack. It's the template the bundler uses to run your code. That is incredibly confusing. We have to fix that. So I think it actually makes sense to not have browser. I think we should have like static. And then we have to change this name of a template. Because this is not, this is like bundler, this is bundler specific. Like it's about how you, it's the bundler environment. How are we going to do that? Well, what are we going to call this thing? Because it's not even a template. This is actually the bundler environment. Like we have like two environments. Oh, this is so complex. So we have an environment called bundler, which is on the level of, okay, are you going to run the static environment? Are you going to run the bundler environment? Or are you going to run the VM environment? But inside the bundler environment, there's also an environment. It's like, is the bundler going to run in Vue mode, in Angular mode? Is it going to run in Parcel mode, in React mode? And that's for some reason called a template now. I don't know why. But that's just historic stuff. But I think we have to call that mode. Like we have to rename that concept to something like mode. And then you say React or something. And then we're still going to call it like template inside. We're going to call it mode the whole way through. And then we're still going to pass it in as the template in like when we pass it into the actual preview where the bundler is running. But we're going to call it mode because it's so confusing to have a template for a sandbox and then having a template representing the mode the actual bundler is running in. That's, at least from a technical perspective, that's confused me a shit ton. Like, what are these templates? But it's build. Yeah, I'm not sure if mode is the right term. It's kind of like what the template represents. It's kind of like your build setup or your dev setup. It's almost like, okay, did you install like the Vue CLI setup to develop a Vue application, or did you do Angular CLI to set up your dev environment? Or did you use Create React App? But we talked about only using Vite here. But then you have to configure like other things. I wanna. Where is Sandpack? I think Sandpack is in here. I want to look at the actual. I want to look at the actual templates of Sandpack. Standalone packages. Isn't it here? No, where is it? Oh, Sandpack core. Here it is. I think. Do we have maybe in the types? Module? No. Runner. Eval. Do we have something called templates here? Okay, let me see if I'm not sure if this one's actually able to load it. It's a huge ass project. Oh, look at you doing a great job. Finding folder. Huh, there is no template. Compile template. Why is there no template here? But then we create a new Sandpack. Sandpack. Fork from CodeSandbox Sandpack. Oh, maybe this is it. Yeah. Oh, do we actually have the no, we don't have the bundler here. No, this is just the client. Where is the actual bundler code? I thought this was the bundler code. Huh. I need help. Where is the actual bundler? Trying to understand the template option path into the bundler. I thought this was it. Sandpack core. Okay, let's just search in the whole thing. Template. Where is this coming? Yeah, this is templates. Okay. Oh, maybe these are the ones. This is coming from. Can I jump into this? Hello. Packages common. Oh yeah, templates. Dojo, Ember, Gatsby, next node. View. I think this might be the actual templates. Oh, but this is, yeah, and this is view CLI. So what are these things? View template, extends template. Template. Where does that infer? Where's template? There it is. So it has a template type. Where's template type coming from? Oh, it's coming from index. Is there an index file here? Where are you? Oh, got confused by. Okay, so I think these are all the actual templates. Yeah, create React app. Yeah, parcel is here. Okay, so these are the actual template types, but they are not templates. They are, okay. Okay, it's a template type. That's what it really is. And it's passed in as a template. Yeah, okay. But I think that, okay. So what if we call it type? Yeah, we could call it type. And this type is like all of these types that we just saw. Yeah, so we're going to call it bundler, and then you're going to pass in the type. Where were we? I lost track of everything. Oh my god. Okay, so a template is what we really call a custom sandbox. It's just a predefined, a preset custom sandbox. That's a template in our world. And then these custom sandboxes, they can be run in different environments. You can run it in a static environment, a bundler environment, or you can run it in a VM. And then if you choose to run it in a bundler environment, you have to describe the type of a type is too generic. It's like, but template is also really weird. At least we could call it template type, but then it's completely ambiguous. It's really is like a bundler type. That's like, it's the way the bundler operates. Well, maybe we could just call it bundler. It's the Vite bundler, right? Because that's really how it works. Yeah, maybe we could do that. We don't have to decide on this now, but I just want some kind of specific term that doesn't confuse us at the moment. So I think bundler makes sense. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna insert all these things, and we're gonna call them bundler. We can call it bundler type. And we're not gonna support all of these. It's interesting, like we even have static there. I wonder what that actually does. Yeah, but at least now I have something I can discuss and talk about. Like, what do we actually want to do with all of these? Okay, and then we have to go in. Oh, fudge, that's the wrong type file. We need to go into this one. This has a bunch more stuff. We're gonna remove so much stuff here, but I have to keep it for now. Let's see, let's put them here. Bundler type. And okay. So again, we need to change this out. So this is not going to be. So the problem here is this template thing. I'm not sure about this static, because technically we have a different environment than the bundler, which is called static. Yeah, no, they have to be different. Okay, so we're going to rename this to static sandbox. And let's copy that. And we're not going to have this stuff. This is going to be static. This is going to be bundler sandbox, environment bundler. And this is going to have, what do we call it? Bundler. It's going to be a bundler type. Okay, and then this is not going to have dependencies or dev dependencies either. We're going to rely on, why are you complaining? Oh, sorry. Oh. What happened there? Static. Yes. And then we're going to say a sandbox is a static sandbox. It's a bundler sandbox, or it's a VM sandbox. Those are from an environment perspective. And then we have custom. Yeah, so the thing is, like, a custom static sandbox. What's the difference? There is no difference. Either you get these asynchronously by using a function, or you define it. Oh, sorry, it has a sandbox ID. Yeah, this will actually also be potentially not defined. Well, we kind of always will have this. Well, not really. Oh, but this is going to be interesting. Yeah, I think the problem here is, like, okay, this is the thing that's breaking now, is that these two work fine as a custom definition. So either you get it from a server, or you just define it as an object in Sandpack. That's fine. And that's why we have, like, this optional sandbox ID, because that's only there if you actually grab it from the server. But the VM sandbox, when it comes from the server, needs to be a session. But that doesn't make any sense when you want to do a custom VM sandbox, because then it's going to look more like this thing, only that it runs on a VM. And under the hood, what are we going to actually do there under the hood? We're actually going to, well, go and create the VM, and we're kind of going to do the same as we do here. Okay, so there are, like, two things here. There's something called a sandbox, and then there's something called the sandbox prop. Those are two different things. So these are the actual sandboxes. This is the internal representation of a sandbox. And then you have this thing called, yes. And then you have custom browser. Okay, so we just have to define these, even though they look very, very similar. they aren't the same thing. Okay, this is interesting. So yeah, what's also interesting is this entry here. Anyways, I think they need to be like, they are different things. Yeah. Because here you also have active file, right? You don't have active file here. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So this is a custom, but still we want to do custom. Okay. This does make sense. It really is that different. So, but it's a bit implicit now that let's see, bundler type. This doesn't have anything. It's just not clear by calling it custom. Like, this mental model I have now is like, there's an actual running environment inside Sandpack that's called bundler static or VM. And that's what we represent above with the sandbox. And then there's this configuration of a sandbox that we're now calling custom. But maybe we shouldn't call it, maybe we should call it configuration instead. Static sandbox configuration. Because it isn't the actual sandbox. That's the point. It's the actual, it's the configuration of a static sandbox. Yeah, I think it has to be like that. At least this better explains bundler sandbox configuration. It better emphasizes that this is just a configuration. It's not the actual sandbox. VM sandbox configuration. And now this makes more sense because, again, you can have an active file if you want to have that. You can have files. You don't have external resources. You don't really have an entry. Yeah, and this would have like tasks, like setup tasks and whatever. So this is in work in progress. I'm gonna, yeah, as I said, discuss with a colleague. And then we have, yeah, so this would be sandbox configuration, where you have static sandbox configuration, you have bundler sandbox configuration, or you have VM sandbox configuration. And sandbox here actually means you pass in a sandbox configuration, or you can go and grab an actual sandbox. That makes sense. Yes. But now we have to change this one, because now this suddenly has, well, it has sandbox. That's correct. This is still, yeah. And now we can say sandbox configuration here instead. Now that makes sense. Yeah, so now we have to move back and load the browser environment. Can we just say type, static or bundler now. No. Oh, what we can do is, yeah, sorry. So we can say this would be a bundler sandbox or a static sandbox. So we can say it's basically sandbox.environment now. We have options. We don't pass in a template anymore. Oh, I guess that's the thing. Now we want to actually pass in this we're not going to call it template. We're going to fix that, but what do we call it? Bundler type or bundler. So the bundler here would be, yeah. Let's just do sandbox environment equals static. Yeah, there's like this just one difference. I know. And let's call it bundler. And that will be sandbox. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't like this. They do some are similar stuff, but they do some things. Okay, so we're gonna do sandbox.environment equals static. We're gonna say static options entry sandbox, or we're gonna boop 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 boop, and then we're gonna pass in bundler, and that comes from sandbox.bundler. Okay, let's just go and fix that bundler thing first, so we don't forget it. So that would be here. We have something called template. Yeah, we call it Sandpack. Oh, look at this. Here we also have them. Oh, are these the ones we actually going to support? Oh, maybe we should use these ones instead. Okay, but let's rename these to bundler type. Okay, and then we're going to use those instead. And then where are all the options? Yeah, and this can't be optional, right? You have to define. You have to define a bundler type. Yeah, and we're going to actually call it bundler type here. Is none of these like expected? Are all of them optional? Okay. That's weird. Like you have to pass in a bundler type. And I have no idea what all of these things do, or even if we need them. That's also, we're just going to clean up like crazy here, which is going to be nice. Anyways, so bundler type, fine. Let's build that. And then we're going to clean up our types here. Where did we put all the bundler things? Oh, are we in the wrong one? Here we go. No. No, wait. Here we are. Where's the bundler type? Bundler type. So we're going to drop these ones. And we're going to do bundler type from the actual environment. Oh, yeah, let's fix that immediately. So did we have bundler? Come on. Bundler type, export type, bundler type. So that's from types. Yeah, and then we need bundler. Oh, we do export bundler type. Oh, sorry, this was import. How are we gonna how do we do this now? Yeah, export star. Okay, we're just gonna export that specifically. Do I have that now? Do I have like an export of something? No, export bundler type. Types. Why is it .js? Who did that? Cool. So now, look at that. Nice. So now we have a bundler type. What are we gonna do now? Now we have the bundler. Oh yeah. So now we need to go into the actual sandbox thing. Okay, so now this is breaking. Never. Why is it a never? Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, this does need to be Sandpack provider props. This needs to be sandbox because this is the actual. Yeah. But now we can do the same thing again. So we're gonna do case static. So this is gonna be environment static. Why are you complaining? Oh, I have. Okay, we're gonna change this back. Oh yeah, you see that? I even made a mistake there. We're gonna put this into load static environment. Sandpack static environment. Well, I can keep static. Let's just keep that one. We're just gonna do the same thing. And then we have load browser this is load bundler. This is gonna be the bundler sandbox. And then we're gonna use this one instead. It's gonna be called bundler. Yeah, didn't I? Oh, sorry, it's bundler type. Cool. So now we have static. We do load static environment. We pass in static. We get a static sandbox back. And this is now bundler. And we're passing in the bundler options. It's happy. And then this is the interesting thing, because this is now a sandbox configuration. And now we have to actually pass in the correct thing here. So again, we have to do if props.sandbox.environment equals static. So again, here we have to do specific for static, bundler, and VM. Well, let's just call this bundler for now. And then we do, oh, sorry, else if static, we're going to load the static environment. Okay. And then we actually have else here as well to do. implement VM sandbox. Nice. So this is now operating the way we want. And then we have the state thing. Oh yeah, so this is Sandpack sandbox context. Oh my god. Yeah, so this would be environment. Oh, environment as n. Oh, wasn't this? Oh. And oh, as Sandpack environment. That's wrong. Because this is an as context value. Yeah. So so this would be environment and sandbox. Well, we want to return both of them. Let's just call it context. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. So this is context value. We're going to do promise context value or null. Why are you complaining? Oh, use interface. So use ref, again, promise of context value or null. And then we actually get the context value here, which is context environment. Context environment status. And then we return context. Yeah, so it's a little bit weird. Like, I don't know what the common term would be for like use sandbox, which would be like sandbox plus environment. We could like return the sandbox and kind of add dot environment on it. Maybe that's better. So you don't have like use sandbox. But we'll do that for now. And then we have environment here. Cool. But I think we're broken some other components here. I guess the file explorer is not happy. Yeah. So we have use sandbox. So this will be environment, and let's just do that. And this will be Sandpack, sandbox context, use sandbox. Yeah, here we have, dag nugget. We have used sandbox already. Oh, interesting. Oh, didn't we use it? Use sandbox. Oh, interesting. Okay, fine. I'm fine with that. And then I think it's, I guess, the code editor. Yeah. Use sandbox environment as n. Oh yeah, use sandbox. Oh, now it's like super broken again. Let's see. Okay, that one's happy. So let's see, I want to build, just see what happens here first. Oh yeah, so this will be bundler type. Cool, and then, okay, was it happy? No, something went, oh, I can't fix this terminal. Can I just kill this one and then? Oh. Yeah, this should take Sandpack state. Yeah, on change. Why? Oh, Sandpack sandbox context. Oh my god, it's like Sandpack sandbox provider. This is horrible. I have to restart it again. Why is on change wrong? Oh, because it's optional. And then we want this sandbox. This is just a sandbox prop. And why do we use that? Yeah, if it has an active file. That's how we get to the actual. This is also a little bit weird. Like just the active file part, right? Because it makes sense to have an active file if you're actually creating like a sandbox configuration that runs the way you define it. But when you grab it from a server, you have no idea what files are there. Like you can guess, but you shouldn't have like an active file. Or maybe you should. I don't know. Yeah, maybe active files shouldn't be part of the. But what are these things now? What is this sandbox? This isn't the sandbox. This is the sandbox prop. What is that? I want to call this. This is also a tricky thing because it makes sense to call that a sandbox prop from the perspective of the consumer, but internally it makes no sense to call it the sandbox. You know what? Maybe we should call this sandbox configuration. And here we're going to call it sandbox configuration. But we might not have it. And we're rather gonna, on the outside, we're gonna check the type of. That's what we're gonna do. Because we don't really care about the sandbox configuration otherwise here. So when we're in our Sandpack provider, we're gonna check sandbox configuration. We're gonna type of sandbox equals function undefined, or we're gonna give it sandbox. So only when you explicitly define a sandbox, then you have what we call a sandbox configuration. Otherwise, we're actually just grabbing a sandbox. And only when you have sandbox configuration, it makes sense to pass that into the state provider, because we're using some configuration to configure the state. Yeah. Okay, let's try building it again, see if it runs. It doesn't. Loading overlay. Oh. We need to do use sandbox. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Use preview. Use sandbox. All right. Is it working again? No. Reading environment from context. Oh. Interesting. What could that be? So it's here, and it says it's undefined. Context is undefined. How can it be undefined? That's what it said, right? Cannot read properties of undefined reading environment. So it says this one's undefined. It's almost like we're, what did we actually configure now in the, oh, maybe because I did this stuff. No. So we're loading up a sandbox here. I wonder what I did there. So we are running the function. Oh, wait, sorry, it's the server. I forgot to change the server. Where are you, server? There you are, server. This is not browser sandbox. So this would be bundler sandbox or a static sandbox. And we're going to determine that because we just happen to store this as part of the template. So we're going to say this. And then it's bundler will be data.template. Yeah, though, okay, interesting. It's kind of annoying. Most of these things are the same. So we're going to say entry, data entry, files equals this stuff. We have sandbox ID, and then we're going to check data.template equals static. And if it does, we're going to have that one thing, or we're going to have that other thing. Files entry. This will be static. This would only be down here. Environment, bundler, entry, files. Bloop. There we go. All right. Let's start it again. Okay, we're back at where we're back where we started 2 hours and 40 minutes and 5 seconds ago. mm. Oh. Let's see. Sorry, I just need to check. Hmm. I can move a session at 2 p.m. Okay, cool. Yeah, I saved you a lot of time. But what we've been able to achieve now is that we're better prepped for actually implementing VM custom sandboxes. And now we have this trigger change that's what we're gonna do here. Yeah, we were actually gonna read the metadata, right? Oh fuck, now I forgot. No, I decided this is part of the abstraction of Sandpack. Yeah, and then we're just gonna read the metadata. So we need to change this sandbox change event. Yeah, so maybe we could type add path string. I guess that's also content string. Update, delete. And then what we want to do, we want to give metadata when we it's very ambiguous what this metadata is. But we need it. We're just gonna try this. Why did we do all these changes? I think I just noticed something and then I had to fix it. I'm not sure because it didn't actually change anything here. Okay, so now we have this metadata. So when we're in our code editor now, and we're gonna trigger. We're actually gonna write this file, right? Now the thing is, we don't know. We don't. So let's see. We're gonna flip this around. So if and type equals VM or no state.active file return. So what we want to do here, we actually want to make this one async, and we want to go and read the metadata of the file. So this is the thing. It's like, as we talked about, if it's a VM, we're going to read the stat. We don't care about the stat. We only care about metadata when we're related to persistence. Yeah, and then we're gonna we're not gonna do the pending stuff. We can fix that later, but we can say write result And now we're gonna await. Do we have the state here? Use Sandpack state. Is this the thing? Yeah, of course. And we have the active file. So state dot. Oh, where did you go? We're not inferring this? Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's not the actual. Interesting. Oh, look at this. I have trigger change. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, whatever. Where's the code editor? Code editor state or trigger change. Oh, it's not gonna. Oh. It's not gonna return void. This is gonna be a promise of void, I guess. Async. Yes, that's what it is. And then we're gonna wait trigger change, and we're gonna create this event, which is type update path state active file content new code, and then the metadata. Yeah, we're just gonna await that, and then we're gonna write it. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna go back. Yeah, so now we basically have that implementation, right? So now we should be able to build this, and we should be able to implement this in our playground. So here we have event type update, and then we need to pass in module ID, which is event metadata. Oh, sorry, short ID. And in our server, we're taking that post. Oh, this is gonna be method put. And we're taking that short ID and we're storing it, and we're all good. So we should technically now, big moment again, we should technically now be able to make a change to the file, and then save it, and then it's gonna pop up in the yeah. The only thing we have an issue with here now is, oh, sorry. Sorry. So this is gonna not be here. Sorry, this is gonna be here. So this is gonna be async. Oh, where did we get the code from? Yeah, and I think we're gonna grab the content here because it's async. Okay, that's where we're gonna do it. Let's build it again. Yeah. So the only thing that might go wrong now, like predictably go wrong, is oh, I'm so exhausted. Is this short ID that we're actually grabbing it correctly. So what I want to do first, I just want to check that. So we're gonna console.log the actual event, and then we're gonna just double check that it works. Okay, so I'm gonna open index, load JavaScript. So we're getting a type update here, and there's no metadata. Why isn't there any metadata? We have to fix that first. So what we are doing now is that when we're loading up this Sandbox, we are writing metadata here. Okay, let's look at the files. Do they actually have metadata? They do. Okay. So I guess it was us reading. Let's see. So they are there. We're writing the metadata. So let's double check the bundler environment. Or sorry, the in-memory file system. When it has a write file, it might have metadata. And then it updates the thing. It writes the metadata. Oh, sorry. Of course, because we're writing the we're overriding this. That's the problem. Okay, I didn't think this through. Okay, so what we can do is, oh, for fuck's sake. This is getting even more icky now, because now, like, if you write metadata and it's there, then it's gonna be yeah, I don't like this. It's like, okay, if we have metadata, we're gonna just override the whole thing. Or if we don't have any metadata, we're gonna just write content. But if we don't already have it, we have to have an empty metadata. It's like, for fuck's sake, I don't like this. So if we have, then metadata is gonna be metadata or dot metadata. And then it's gonna be metadata or empty object. Yeah, I don't like this. Maybe we should have a separate, you know what? Fuck this. We're gonna have a separate metadata. Because we have read file metadata. So we're gonna have write file metadata. Yeah. So we're not gonna even have this. We're just gonna have file content, files metadata. It's gonna be a record of string object. And then this is just gonna be content. And then we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do this. Yes, this is gonna be files metadata. And then we're gonna have, let's see. write file metadata. And you know what we can do now? They don't have to be, these can be synchronous. That's also nice. Path string metadata object, and this is just void. We don't have to make you async. You can just return. And then we have, did I implement write file metadata? Write file metadata. Can you help me? Yeah, we don't need watchers. No watchers. No ensure directory exists. This is just a path. But you have to, wait a minute, normalize path. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I know it's storing the metadata. Okay, so now we're gonna write file metadata, read file metadata. So this becomes like a very custom kind of thing. No, that's the wrong project. What's wrong? Is anything wrong with the server? No. Okay, so now we need to go back to where we actually, where are we? Yeah, so we don't have to wait this anymore. We can just read it. And then where we load up the environment, write file, are you? Oh, it didn't work. Oh, yeah, sorry. The VM also needs these two. Read file metadata. We're just going to throw an error here. Not supported by VM. And then write file metadata. Well, I guess we could do that. But for now, we're going to throw not supported by VM. We could support it, but I'm not sure what we would use it for. Where were we? Shouldn't you start complaining? Complain. Why aren't you complaining? There is no metadata. What's happening? Oh, am I building the wrong thing again? Hello? Didn't I fix it? Oh, I forgot to. There we go. What was I doing? This is where we did the metadata, right? What about now? There we go. So what we're really going to do is that now we know we're in like a static and NFS write file metadata path. What was I gonna say? Now we know that we're in a static environment, or we're in maybe it's kind of better to do this. And this will be bundler. So again, we're gonna do the same thing. Cool. Nice. Now we should have. Oh, we're mapping. Oh, sorry. Okay, let's do this then. I guess it's the same problem here. Now, the thing we didn't handle in the environment is that we should also delete the metadata. Delete file. Delete this files metadata normalized path. Not a biggie for now. Okay, so now when we save, we should see the short ID. No such file. Interesting. Write file metadata. Why did it say that? NFS write file metadata. Files path metadata. Path this.files metadata. That was weird. It's empty. How can it be empty? How can it be empty? There has to be something there. By the way, it's really weird to do this inside a map. I don't like it. I'm very, very confused. Write metadata, path metadata. Oh, wait, are we loading? We are loading the browser sandbox, right? Yeah. Why isn't it calling the... Oh, so... Wait, yeah, this is static, load bundler environment. Load environment. What the fuck? Files. Wait, are we... Wait, I'm utterly confused. Hello. I'm yeah, so I am getting pretty good at this now. So I've been working at CodeSandbox for like almost 5 years. CodeSandbox.io. It started as like a browser bundling playground, just beyond what other typical coding playgrounds does. And later we pivoted, when it became a proper company, we pivoted to do a VM infrastructure with these insanely lightweight, efficient VMs to enable you to write even more code, but keep the same experience that we had with the browser sandboxes, because we weren't able to monetize them. And then we weren't able to monetize these cloud sandboxes either, because developers doesn't want to code in the cloud. But then AI happened, so we got acquired by Together AI. So I'm actually working for Together AI now. And it turns out that AI really wants to write code in the cloud. So this VM infrastructure of sandboxes is becoming a product of Together AI. It's an actual SDK. But as part of that journey of like creating developer tooling for developers and companies to create their own products, we also want to enable people to use these browser sandboxes and the VM sandboxes through this other SDK higher abstraction called Sandpack React, which is like a code editor, a preview, and everything. And you could like run code examples directly in the browser. You can now, that's what I'm working on now. It's like you can persist them, you can connect to a VM. So you can have like, you can use the other SDK with an AI agent writing code in a VM, and then you use Sandpack React to display to your users an actual code editor and a preview, and they're looking at same environment, stuff like that. Yeah, I guess that's the very short, fast story. And I'm currently like kind of doing a proof of concept for this, where we are getting, oh, I built the wrong thing again. Where I'm trying to conclude, I just need some core functionality in there. Yeah, write metadata. So why isn't the metadata there when I update? Oh, now it's there. Oh, I didn't build it or something. Okay, cool. Now it's there. So let's remove that. Let's, yeah, build it again. So now in the dashboard, yeah, so the proof of concept is going to be, we already are connected to VMs, and you can change files and see the VM update and everything. Now we're doing it for plain persistence, so that like the files are actually persisted in a database. And then we're going to end up by also proof of concepting that you can fork. So you can start with an in-browser sandbox, and then you can fork it to a persisted sandbox, or you can fork it to a VM sandbox, or you can start a VM sandbox and you can fork to another VM sandbox because you want to start out with an example, but you want your users to like fork into a new VM. And we do all of that completely seamlessly. We build a shit ton of cool features for this cloud environment. Like CodeSandbox has an amazing set of features. It just hasn't been packaged in a way where people want to pay for it. But what we discovered is that like we're really good at developer tooling. We just haven't targeted developers to build products. We've targeted developers to use our product. So that's kind of our pivot now, is that we're seeing that even though I think we're good product developers, it's just that the kind of product we tried to develop wasn't the product that developers wanted. Developers want to be empowered by tooling. And that's what we're giving you now through the SDK, through Sandpack React, and so on and so on. So you can build your own products. Cool. Okay, the moment might be here. I want this to be, yeah, exactly. I like that. It's a vertical integration on steroids. It's funny you say steroids, because I often said like VMs are like sandboxes on steroids. I've also used it in the context of like there's something we call pitcher client, which is really the thing that's talking to the VM. I called that Sandpack on steroids once. And that's yeah, but that's what we're doing now. This is the steroid version of Sandpack. Let's see, where were we? Yeah, I wanted to build the environment again without all the logging. Console. Oh, that was a VM. Where's the in-memory? There we are. Okay. Okay, but this is nice because if this works now, I can stop the stream, eat some food, and then I have some stuff I need to do. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be like it's really fun for us because we're getting all we're getting all these people contacting us, and it's a big thing now, especially with AI, to be able to give them environments that they can code in. But that's kind of just part of the story here, and we've kind of way ahead of the game of the others because we built all this stuff for humans, right? And it just turned out it was like more suitable for AI. But this Sandpack React, this is the human interface, really. And we also kind of ahead on that. So yeah, it's like I said, it's just the packaging, and that's what finding product market fit is. It's not necessarily that you have a bad idea. It's just that you haven't packaged it in a way that communicates its value, right? That's typically the problem. Okay, let's see. So we're gonna change this thing, JavaScript. We're not actually gonna see. Oh, dag nugget. We got a server error. Failed to parse URL. Failed to parse URL? Oh, rollout hiccups. I know the feeling. Been there, done that. Why isn't this working? Oh, sorry. It's a post. No, we're doing a post, right? And again, the whole, it's so broken, the whole thing. What happened there? So we did a post to this generic FS thing. And then it's doing a put here, but it said it was a URL. Oh, I know. Where is the thing? What the hell is this? Server-side request forgery. What's that thing? I don't want to be bothered. Sorry, this should be the full URL. So we're kind of hacking this at the moment because our public API doesn't actually support our public API doesn't actually support making these persistence changes. Let's try again. JavaScript, boop. What's wrong now? Oh, converting circular structure to JSON. Who? Win32? Where the hell is this coming from? I am confused. Is this the thing? What circular structure? Oh, maybe it's this one. Path, sandbox ID, content. What? Express 130. Oh, it's this one. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because we're passing in the, sorry, it's the short ID. Oh, so it was using the paths from, okay, I see. So I think it actually changed it now. Yeah, you see that? Ah, we kind of lost the, but now I can say hello Java. And then if I refresh, hello Java, yay, it works. Yeah, the reason it doesn't update the actual preview is because of the code. Like we can't hot refresh inner HTML. And I haven't implemented the refresh here yet. So, but that's nice. So now we have, yeah, we have VMs. We have that. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm actually going to Amsterdam tomorrow to meet up with my dear colleagues. Maybe, I'm not sure. We're probably going to spend that time discussing things. So I'll be traveling. And then probably, yeah, just doing sessions at the office in Amsterdam. So I'm not sure when I'm able to stream again, probably on Monday. But I'll be actually streaming a little bit later, I think. Yeah, because we're going to work on some changes for the SDK. I'm going to change. It's actually much the same thing. It's going to change. I already have an idea of it and discussed it. Like change the interface of the SDK because it's quite confusing now. It's kind of like the SDK we just saw the opportunity, just built the thing very, very fast. A lot of feature requests, just shoving it in, which is what Eva's, one of the founders of CodeSandbox, is really, really good at. And then our story has been, like, our relationship has very much been him just being super attentive to needs, builds features, just runs with it, make it work. And then I kind of follow up on it. And then when we kind of found something that works for people, I go in and I kind of clean up the thing and try to make things consistent and clear and all of that. Which was even the case for the code base of CodeSandbox. That's how I started at CodeSandbox, because the client was so, like, had become so complex and was using Redux and had performance issues. It was difficult to scale the code. And I came in there and kind of moved stuff to like an external state management solution that allowed us, which fixed performance and allowed us to scale and stuff like that. So I guess that's kind of my thing in the company, which I really enjoy doing. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks for following along, and then I'll do another stream later on the SDK thing, a shorter stream, and then I think we're going to continue on this on Monday. Yeah. Okay, bye for now.